I'm Katie Yip. I'm really just a Pilates teacher, and I am a co-owner and co-founder of a studio on the Upper East Side with my two business partners,
Mhm.
Trisha and John. And that's it. There's really nothing. I'm just a Pilates teacher, and I love Shiba Inus. Like I'm like obsessed with them. So
With what?
a Shiba Inu.
I don't really know what that is.
Oh, okay. Hold on. I'll show you one really quickly. They're my two dogs.
Okay.
I am like, this is my two passions. She won't like me really quickly, but I'll just show you. Hello.
For
She's
the
so
future
cute.
audio, we have a cute dog on the screen.
Yeah, so that's it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm just a Pilates teacher, a Pilates student too. And I
Mhm.
think most of all, a Pilates student because this work is never ending, truly.
Right. Yeah. I'm predicting 9 more seconds before everyone challenges you on the just a Pilates teacher part
Oh,
in the
really?
comments.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's just, if you actually go to my website, I had this amazing graphic designer redesign me my logo. And she's like, what did you have in mind? And I said, I was like, to me, Pilates is like an asymptote. And I don't know if you're familiar. So before I was a Pilates teacher, I was in the sciences and I worked in biotech. And so I'm a big math person. And an asymptote is essentially a curve. So you have like, your x graph and your y graph, and your y
Yes.
equals some line. And an
Yes.
asymptote is a curve that approaches this line, and it gets closer and closer and closer and closer to it, but it
Yes.
never quite
Never touches.
intersects it. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to me, that's what Pilates is like. And that's what, kind of that mastery is like. You get closer to it, but you never get it. And mastery is actually the pursuit of reaching that. It's not actually the realization of the goal, but it's getting closer and closer to it. I mean, there's always more hip opening you can get. There's always more
Yes.
thoracic extension you can get. So that's
Yes.
kind of, how I
Um,
see Pilates. So, that's to me, I'll
yeah.
always be a Pilates student.
Absolutely. One of my past guests has said it this way, we are white belts forever,
Yes, yes,
right?
absolutely. Yeah,
And he's in jiu-jitsu and he's a high level guy, but we are always going to be white belts. We're always learning. There's always someone better. There's always one more, piece that we could add to the puzzle, one more piece that we can make part of that equation. So,
100%. And the funny thing is, I remember my very first, so Chris Robinson was my very, very first teacher.
mhm.
And I remember going to his studio. I had his book at the time, and I realized that I was like, oh God, like he's like right in La Jolla. I'm in La Jolla too. He's 5 minutes away from me. I have to go train with this guy.
Yes.
And the funny thing is, I sent him an email and I say, I'm an advanced Pilates student. He makes fun of me all the time. I was like,
Okay.
I'm an advanced Pilates student. I've been doing this for a year. And we all know that doesn't mean, you know, it doesn't mean anything, but
Right.
I was like, 19 or 20 at the time. And I was like,
Right.
you know,
Yes.
so I go to his studio, and then I kid you not, like he puts me on the reformer and I'm doing footwork, just the first position, heels together, toes apart.
Yes.
And he has this cue, and it's this cue that I've stolen from him several times. It's you have $1 million bill in between your heels. Don't let
Yes.
anybody take that from you, right?
Yes.
I made him a freaking billionaire that day. I could not keep my heels together. Oh God,
Right.
I couldn't keep my heels together. And then at
Yeah.
that point, I was like, what is this work? Like, what is this
Yes.
Pilates? And
Yes.
I played soccer, and I've always considered myself somewhat physically competent. And to do something so vastly different, I was like,
Yes.
holy moly. And it was like
Right.
the first 2 minutes, the footwork, it's like literally the first exercise.
Yes.
And perhaps I could not keep my inner thighs together or my heels together to save my life. So
Right.
ever since then, I was so humbled, and I was like, there's something to this work. And that kind of got me hooked.
Yes. And
So
that's exactly it. And for some people, I think that speaks to the way that we're wired, Katie, in that there's people that get humbled like that and they never
yeah.
come back.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Right.
You
And then
definitely, yeah,
there's
yeah.
people that get humbled like that and they're like, I want more. I want to master this. You got me today. I'm coming for you, sort of.
100
Yeah.
and 100%. Well, I know you were an athlete too, right?
Hmm.
So to finally get something that challenge, I always want something that challenged me. I always joke with Kathy. Kathy will give me a compliment, and I'll say, okay. Don't just say, oh, you need to zip your heels together. I was like, oh, okay. Now, like, I don't care when she compliments me. I need her to beat
Right.
me up. That's what I
Yes.
need.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
no,
yeah.
completely. It's like I totally lost my train of thought after going on that story.
About the disappointment, like getting the message and being challenged to do more,
Oh,
or getting the
yes.
message. Yes,
Yes. Okay. Now I remember. Thank you.
you're welcome.
It's like whenever you're faced with a challenge, it truly shows what you're capable of, right? So if you
Yes,
always shy away from these challenges, you won't ever know what you can truly do. So that's
yes.
kind of how I've always, I don't know if I was just wired like that, but I imagine you too.
Yeah, yeah. It could be an athlete thing. It could be like there's so many things that we could attribute that to. But at the end of the day, there's a sense of resilience
Yeah.
that, that determines that feedback isn't an attack on your character. It's
Oh, that's
something
really an
actually,
interesting way of saying it.
like that, because like, sometimes people say it. Like if I say to you, your heels, let's get those heels together. I'll never get my heels together. I suck at this. I'm out, right?
I have clients that say that too. Yeah.
Or you hear that and you're like, okay, this is where I can get better. This is what I need to do. Maybe it's going to take me 6 weeks to not donate $6 million to the Chris Robinson Fund, but
That's a good one.
eventually you'll get there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's taken me like 10 years to do a roll up, but I'll take it.
Right.
So,
Yes. What's
absolutely.
going on? I see Jason Williams there. He's got his book
Hi,
coming out.
Melissa. Hi, Melissa. I'll see you later today.
Yeah. So, yes, we triumph when we try. Exactly. That was one of the great lines from my conversation with Celia on that podcast.
Mhm.
We triumph when we try, and that's like you're saying about that curve. Like I'm learning. I should say I won't say I like it. I'm learning to appreciate the journey.
Yes. Yes. I mean, because that's what Pilates really is. Like, if you, hi, Martin. Oh my God, it's my really good friend, Martin. Sorry, I just want to say hi. He's fabulous. You should also have him on too.
Okay,
Um,
message
there's
me.
so many people. There's so many people
Yes,
in this
exactly.
wonderful industry. But you know what I was thinking about? I was like, oh, about Pilates, and I was actually talking to my fiance about this. And when you think about the way you measure like progress in Pilates, it's very, unlike weightlifting or sports, it's very qualitative. So when
Yes,
you look at like weightlifting, it's like, how many pounds did I add to my deadlift this week? When you're
yes.
running, it's like, can I run a sub 7 mile? For
Hmm.
when you're playing sports like soccer, it's like, you got to get the goal in the ball. It doesn't matter how you get there. You could use
Yeah.
your head to do it. You could
Yes,
headbutt it. You could use your butt. You could use your leg. You just can't use your hand, of course, but
right. But you
it's
just have to score
it doesn't
quantitative.
matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be controlled. It doesn't have to be, well, I mean, it has to be precise because that's the goal, but
Yes.
it doesn't have to be, it's just getting there. But in
Yes.
Pilates, it's so different. It's how you get there that matters. So that's
Hmm.
why when I talk about doing the exercises really cleanly, doing them honestly, because if you're not doing them honestly, you're just cheating yourself,
Right.
right? It's so different, and that it's
Hmm.
just that's what I love about this work, and that's
Absolutely.
interesting. You say that, like you said, it's about the journey. So
You're right. And I mean the contrast to at the same time is that, we hear like the famous Jay Grimes line, just move. Or people are just like, we'll just like that sense of there's a precision and there's an accuracy and there's a quality movement, but at the same time, you have to just move.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
so can you speak to that contrast between the just move and the make sure that you're articulating every vertebrae as you're rolling down to the mat
Well, it's
moment?
kind of like how we were talking about. It's like the 80-20 rule, right? It's like 80% of your results will come from 80% of the big chunk, not that 20%. It's like when you're trying to lose weight, like it's really just don't eat so much, exercise more. It's not that complicated. But people are focusing on like the supplements,
Yes.
like what vitamins do I need to do?
Count your macros and yeah,
Exactly.
right.
It's like, so when you first start doing Pilates, it's like you just have to move. And a lot of the times the movements will fix themselves if like
Mm,
do the exercises as prescribed. And then when you get to a higher level, maybe when you've built up more control,
yes.
precision and
Yes.
centering, maybe then you can kind of focus in on like, okay, move your left rib cage 2 inches to the right. And you're like, oh my God, that feels so different.
Right.
That stuff.
Yes.
Nobody understands that except for us, though. And I
No.
I certainly don't teach my clients like that.
No, we
Maybe
bore
just a
them to
few.
death,
Yeah, they're
right?
just like, what? Like, they just, I mean, like when we think about it, we are just designed to give them a safe and effective workout.
Yes.
Sure, things, get fixed in the process,
Hmm.
which is
Hmm.
wonderful, but
Yep.
just give them the workout and sometimes it'll fix itself. It's just
Right.
when you get crazy like we do.
Right, exactly. Well, I would layer into that like a safe and effective workout. I always layer into that educating them so they understand what a safe and effective workout looks like,
Yes.
right? Because I mean, you know this too, right? Like you can go to some place and they give you like 600 burpees for the day, and then you're sweating. You walk out and you're like, "Wow, that was a good workout. Look how much I sweated." And then right. And then you go to like
Yeah.
some high level guy, and then he could have you working on just the minutia of your deadlift, and you do like
Yes.
one exercise, and you walk out of there sweating. You're like, wow, I learned a lot today, and I'm sweating, and I feel great, and da 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 da. So
Absolutely.
I think it's important to also educate our clients along the way that they're getting a good workout because this happened, and
100%.
this happened, and this happened.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you're preaching to the choir at
Mm.
100%. I've had lessons with Kathy where I moved my leg like a millimeter and I'm like shaking. And I'm like, what is this?
Yes.
But I feel like it takes like a certain level. I feel like you have to be at a certain level to really kind of understand that.
Yeah. Yeah.
What
Well,
do you think?
Well, I think you do. Yes, you definitely do. But then you also, I mean, I'm sure you've had clients who are high level athletes who are very aware of their body, but
Yes.
very
Yes.
new to Pilates, right?
Yes. Yes.
Right. So then you can, if you're
Oh,
like,
you can play around with
you
that
could
for
play around
sure.
with them. So like you may layer in an advanced exercise that's light work for them, and then you can give them a basic exercise. And because their movement pattern for their sport dictates that they move contrary to that, they just can't do it.
Yeah,
Right?
definitely.
So
Definitely.
there's a dialogue with an athletic body that is aware that is different than with a new mover, so to speak. Right?
How do you feel like you train like an athletic body? Like what's like the first like what's your kind of
Well,
what do you do?
I just look at how they move, what the requirements of their sport are, or like I have a new guy who I just started with 2 weeks ago, and he's 6'6",
Wow.
played basketball. He's in his 30s now, so he's not playing as much basketball, but that's still his first love. And the world's beneath him, right? So you walk around, you're talking to people, they're like, "Hi, how are you? Here,
Yeah,
let me help you with that," right?
that's the
So,
opposite for me. I'm like this. Hi guys.
yes, right, right. So he comes in and his back is tight, or this is tight, whatever. So then we address those things, but then I spend a ton of time working on like thoracic expansion. Let's work on your swan. Let's work on
Yeah.
a double leg kick or whatever it is. And those movements are so new and so like life giving for him because he came with a back issue, but then we never really thought about his posture and how he lives here. So you're still treating it the same way instead of in terms of understanding the body in front of you, but
Yeah.
then you just have to layer on the specific needs of their sport or daily life, right?
Absolutely. I have this wonderful, wonderful client. She's a not a yoga teacher, she's a yoga practitioner. And it's so funny because we'll do an exercise, a Pilates exercise, and then she only sees me once a week, but then she'll go and apply everything that she knows that
Mm-hmm.
we did to a yoga exercise. So she's like constantly transferring the skills she built in Pilates to yoga. And even
Yes.
though she's not doing Pilates, I can see it every time she comes back, and it's amazing,
Yeah.
and it's just kind of building that autonomy and that physical independence. Like she knows how to fix herself without me,
Yes. Right.
you know,
Right.
and
Yeah. That's awesome.
that's something I'm still trying to learn. Sometimes I like to give too much information,
Hmm.
and I'm learning. I need to pull back a little bit because like I think you can inspire them, but you can't really tell them what to do because it's their journey of self-discovery,
Yes.
right?
Exactly.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm saying too much. I need to shut up. I'm saying too much,
Yes.
you know.
There's a great soundbite from that Core Connections that Noam, Joel, and I did, where we're talking about that mind-body connection. And Joel, if you want to chime in on that, just in the comment section,
Yeah.
there's
Oh
a
my God, Kathy's like blowing up the comments. I
I
just
know,
see
eh?
these. You're like, Kathy, I have to pay attention.
No. We're talking about the mind-body connection, and because of their, like, and Joseph Ply spoke about that too. Like, there is a mental workout component to it. So there'll be days where I think he said one of the coaches in his studio said, "Okay, you're having a test today," and it's like, Okay, 100 roll up, leg circle, like, and just let them
Yeah.
just wrestle with, okay, what's next? How do I move this? Where is it supposed to
Yeah.
be? And let them find it, right? Like,
Absolutely. I guess like with me, I get so excited for them and I'm like, oh my God, like
same.
your back totally changed in like 2 seconds. Like, oh my God, you just got like so much more length. So if you do this and this and this, and I'm like, no, I need to like pull back a little bit.
Mhm. Yes,
So it's, and don't you feel like you learn a lot, from your clients? I feel like
so
that's
much.
where I learn so much. It's kind of like, I don't tell them, and actually some of them are going to watch, so I'm kind of screwed. But, I'll try something. I'm like, it didn't work. But they don't have
Yeah.
to know. They felt good. It's fine.
Right, exactly. Yes. Yeah,
And
and
then,
Jason said there too, like, yes, definitely work the brain, but make it fun though, right? Like, yeah.
yes, I mean,
Mhm.
it has to be fun, or why else would you not do it? I mean, it's so funny when I think about my journey into the Pilates world. So I was working in a laboratory at a time, and I mean, it's great. I think maybe if you're in academia where you can be a little more creative with the projects you choose to do, but I was working in industry, and that's just very black and white.
Yes.
You're just on this one line and you do what you're supposed to do the way you're supposed to do because they have certain protocols, as they should, right? It's a
Yes.
and then I just realized like I'm going to be doing this 40 hours a week and I don't enjoy it. I want to have fun.
Mm,
And I
yes.
love working out. Like I'm a little crazy. I'll
Yes.
work out like 2, 3 hours a day, every day. I know it's what
Yeah.
I enjoy. It's what I really enjoy. And I was like, I want to have fun. And if you have fun
Right.
when you're doing it, you're going to want to do it more.
Yep.
So if your clients are
Exactly.
having fun, they'll want to do it more. And
Absolutely.
everybody should do Pilates.
100%.
Even
100%.
our significant others should do Pilates.
I'm good. I mean, Alex loves Pilates. Like, she's trying to cram herself into my schedule. I'm trying to find
Really?
spots now. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Sorry, my dog just came. That's so good. That's really good. Like Cameron is really good. He's a physical therapist,
Okay.
and we have amazing discussions about just like movement principles and
Mm.
just about like how to move. And I actually got a Wonder chair here. I'll show you really quickly. There it is.
Oh,
And I put
it's
him on it the other
pretty.
day.
Yeah.
It's like a piece of furniture. It's not it's not
Absolutely.
it's not gym equipment. This
No,
is
no,
like
no.
my fourth child.
Yes. Well, that's like the OG, right? That's the original purpose for it to
Right.
be that, this is, and have the
Yes.
seats, right?
Yeah. So no, with
Hmm.
Cameron, I mean he's incredibly smart. I think he's smarter than me, to be honest. And
Right. That's
and
on
he's very
record. Is that okay?
that's fine. I tell
Yeah.
him, I'm like, you're smarter than me.
Oh,
And he's very intellectual. So I have these theories, and I'm like, oh, maybe like is it? I told him that I finally felt a stretch in my stomach, and it
mhm.
was like, and because I felt this stretch in my stomach, is it possible because I felt this stretch that I can contract it more and I feel more of my stomach now, my lower abdominals? He's like,
Yeah.
that's possible. So I kind of just like bounce theories off of him.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but he's
Absolutely.
he's been getting into Pilates more, which is I think because I have all this equipment in my apartment now. So he's
Yes.
been kind of trying it more. But
Playing with
please
it. Yeah.
share some please share some tips. How do you train Alex? How
Well,
did you get her into the studio the first time?
well, she's already in fitness, so she appreciates it.
Oh,
Yeah.
what did she do?
She's a group fitness. Well, she's done group fitness manager. She teaches classes. She's taught at Orange Theory. She was
Oh, that's
actually,
fantastic.
yeah, she was a general manager at a big box gym before as well. So she's all up in there. So she understands movement. Teaches yoga as well. So
That's
when she,
perfect.
yeah, oh yeah, so she gets it. When she went through her knee surgery though, like she had her ACL and a microfracture surgery and all these different things. So the only thing she could do was Pilates.
Yeah.
So like 3 days after surgery, I had her on a Cadillac and we're just working through different, like, what can you do still? So it
She's
wasn't
lucky
even,
she has you to do that.
uh, thank you. Yeah. So, I mean, and that was it, right? Like, so it wasn't even necessarily knee rehab. I was thinking, okay, well, what can you still do? And then we worked
Yes.
from there and we just, so we just had fun with it. And now she's thinking about becoming an instructor. And I think that when it's all said and done, she'll be a better Pilates instructor than I am.
Oh,
Because
don't say that.
honestly, she has such an eye.
Mm.
She has such a compassion for teaching women, the women's
Is she
body.
watching? Is
And
she watching the pot? Is she watching this
I
right now?
wonder, I don't know. I'm not sure. I haven't seen her yet. So,
You're getting major brownie points.
right?
Hi, Hua. Sorry, my friend. Oh, my graphic designer just jumped on. She does beautiful work, by the way.
Okay,
Anyways,
nice. This is like plugs for everybody right now, by the
I
way.
mean, there's just so many good people that I want to promote and share, you know, like
Absolutely.
so many people that have helped me, and I want to help them back too.
Yes,
So
absolutely. I had a point I was going to make earlier when we were talking about like learning the exercises and how, we want to give so much to our clients. And
yeah,
this kind of was thinking about it this way. Like I love playing squash, right? And I
really,
haven't, oh yeah. Now I haven't played in forever with this whole
that's
lockdown and
very
stuff,
Canadian, isn't it?
right? Yes, it is. But squash is similar in the sense that like you can just go out there and just hit the ball. A kid can go out there and just hit the ball and like, yeah, you hit the ball. But the deeper you get into squash, the more you realize that like your foot position matters, your rotation matters, your hand position matters. When do you hit the ball down the line? When do you do a drop shot? And it's like the more you know, the more you realize you don't know anything yet,
100%. Oh my
right?
God, yes,
So it's like
absolutely,
if you had an onion, it's like, okay, good, you can hit the ball. Okay, well now let's talk about hitting it over there. Okay, let's talk about doing a drop shot. Okay, let's talk
absolutely.
about, you know what I mean? Like, and Pilates is the exact same way. So, okay, you can do an ab curl. Wonderful. Let's
Now
start
do
there.
your teaser. Now do
Now do
your
your
teaser
teaser.
after that, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like this work is amazing. It truly, truly is. I mean,
Hmm.
it's crazy like how much it's changed my own body. It's taught me how to be more well-rounded, like to use everything equally, right?
Yes.
And not just so I always, I played soccer for 15 years, and even though I've been doing Pilates, I guess now since 2009. Well, actually, I started Pilates when I was 16. I used to
Okay.
clean I used to clean this gym to take classes.
Really?
This is before I knew. Yeah,
I,
exactly.
I was actually going to just segue into that Pilates origin
Okay.
piece right now. So, yeah. So, how did
Okay.
you find Pilates?
Okay. So,
Yes.
that's so funny. Perfect segue. So I was in high school, and I was, you read the magazines, and it's this new workout. It's been around for many years, many, many, many,
Right.
many years. And all these celebrities, models, athletes, actors were doing it. And it's Pilates. And I was like, what is it? And I was very curious, naturally. So I remember I Googled Pilates. And at the time I was living, I grew up in Palo Alto, California, which is kind of the heart of Silicon Valley right now.
Hmm.
And I Googled Pilates, and up came a few studios, and I saw this one studio that was like about 10 minutes away from my house. And it's actually owned and operated by a very gifted contemporary teacher. His name is Tom McCook. I don't
Okay.
know. I think he does a lot of stuff with balanced body. He's
Hmm.
very good though.
Okay.
And
Good to
I
know.
went there and I took a mat class, and I was like, this is awesome. I really loved it. I'd felt new muscles that I never felt before.
Mhm.
So I was like, I was pretty hooked after that. And, I'm in high school, not making too much money. I'm 15, what do
Right.
I?
Yeah.
So I see on the sign that it says cleaning for classes. So I'm like, oh, okay, I'll spend my summer cleaning their gym in exchange for lessons and privates. And that's what I did that summer.
There you go.
And
Yeah.
it was a great way to kind of start getting into Pilates. All I knew is that I really liked how I felt after I did it.
Yes.
So that's how I first started. And
Yeah.
then fast forward like, 4 or 5 years, 4 years later, I'm in college. And now I'm at UC San Diego
Mhm.
in Southern California, San Diego. And I start taking classes at a local gym, like classes at like a small fitness boutique studio. And that was kind of my first exposure to classical Pilates. And I was like, oh, this stuff is even better.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm like getting
Right.
real. I love getting beat up. I'm like getting beat up. Like I'm
Yes.
sweating. Like, that's like the athlete in me. I like to get beat up.
Yes.
And I remember afterwards, the teacher handed me Chris's book. So it kind of segues into how I started working with Chris.
Yes.
And so she hands me Chris's book, The Core Connection.
Hmm.
And I read his book in like 2 days. And to me, I'm like, oh, this guy kind of knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And I flip open the back cover and I'm like, he's in La Jolla. I'm in La Jolla. That's literally 10 minutes away from where I'm going to school.
Yeah.
And that's
Oh,
where I
amazing.
email him and I set up that lesson. And I just started, after my first lesson with him, I was incredibly humbled. I was like, I can't do
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
I was like, this is me, like I can't do anything. And that's what we talked about with Pilates. It's not about the quantity, unless you're Kathy and you want to do like 70 double straight leg pulls, which we've
Oh,
done.
oy.
But it was more about like, the qualitative aspects of it. Can you roll up in your teaser and not move your legs, and can you do it with control? So that's what I loved about it. And all I
Right.
knew is that I wanted to keep training with Chris. And I
Mm.
really like his teaching style really resonated with me.
Yes,
So
likewise.
and at the time I'm in college, still not making any money. I mean, I'm
Mm.
working in a lab in an unpaid internship. And so all I can afford right now are his monthly classes. So I go, I buy the monthly package, and I'm there 6 days a week doing
Yes.
Pilates mat, his core conditioning classes, his
Hmm.
Muay Thai, everything. And
Yes.
I just basically I'm there every day pretty much, and it slowly kind of transforms into this thing where I start wanting to take privates, but I
Hmm.
can't take privates because I'm not like I don't have a job yet. So, and I always look back so fondly on my time with him because it was just such an organic way of starting to learn Pilates. At the
Yes.
time, I didn't want to be a Pilates teacher.
Hmm.
So both of my parents are immigrants. My mom's from Hong Kong and my father's from Malaysia. And they came here to college to obviously fulfill the American dream.
Right.
And they're
Yes.
like, we just want our only daughter, because I'm an only child,
Oh, yes.
to be healthy, happy, and have a stable job. And they're like, what is this Pilates stuff? We don't know what it is. It's just
Yes.
sit ups. It's just sit ups. It's side sit ups, front sit ups, back sit ups, twisted sit ups. No, but they really just didn't know what it was. So
Right.
they weren't comfortable with me doing something. Um, so at that time, I didn't even know if I wanted to be a Pilates teacher.
Hmm.
And so, but slowly I started coming more often. And at the time, I was like, wow, I really enjoy this. Maybe this is something I really want to pursue. And so I remember Chris one day was just like, why don't you? And oh, sorry. Chris goes away oftentimes to train his clients because he's like a
Yes.
big time Pilates superstar.
Right. Yes.
And so he goes and trains his clients, and he would leave me the keys to the gym. He said, watch over the gym. You can clean, you can, do your workouts, just clean up after yourself, but just watch over the gym. So that's what I would do. I had
Yes.
access to his gym. I could work out whenever I wanted to. That's
Yeah.
incredible,
That's amazing. Yeah.
So, and
Yeah.
the best thing, he didn't charge me for any of it. He
Yeah.
just let
That's
me go
awesome.
in there and do my own workout.
Yes.
And then it slowly evolved to him saying, do you want to watch me teach? I was like, yes, I would love to watch you teach. I want to ask you questions like, why did
Yes.
you do this exercise for this client? Why
Hmm.
did you take her over to the Wanda chair?
Good questions. Yes.
Exact. And then slowly it evolved to him watching me teach. And
Hmm.
oh, and this is so funny. Like Kathy's just popping up now. And
Yes.
this is like me 6 months into like, training with him. And oh my God, he's like, I have a client for you. And I was like, oh, okay. Like I'm not you, but I will do my best. I'll give him a good workout.
Yes.
And that's it. And then in walks Kathy's son, Zach. And I'm like, holy, like this kid has been doing Pilates in the womb.
Right.
He knows more than me. I was like, what?
Actually.
Exactly. Like,
Yeah.
what am I going to possibly teach him?
Yes.
So I remember he gets on the mat and I'm just like, pump your arms, inhale, exhale, roll up, touch your toes. Good. Single leg circle, just circle your leg, grab your ankle. And I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do for you. I was like, what am I gonna do?
That's
I don't
awesome.
know what I'm gonna do. Like more than me. I'm like six
Yeah.
months in, because
Yes.
it's so funny. And we joke because we call it like PTSD because I had to teach him at a workshop and I was like, oh my God. And like all of a sudden I got so nervous again. It was like I was 19 again. I was like, what am I gonna do? So
Like you're like got like twitches and stuff.
pretty much.
Oh, that is too funny.
Yeah, so it's just, so I just look back at that training and it makes my heart warm because he didn't charge me a cent for any of that. He gave
Yes.
me access to his gym. I could
Hmm.
come in whenever I wanted to work on myself. I could watch him teach. It was
Yes.
just such a wonderful experience, and I wish that, a lot of, obviously I was lucky that, you
Super
know,
lucky. Yeah.
to be in that situation, but a lot of training, that's how it should be because it's just so organic. It's
Organic.
not like he taught me for my body, and
Hmm.
I didn't do, I think I might have done like one advanced exercise with him, but other than that, it was just intermediate reformer getting me to be really good at the foundation. So I credit
Yes.
him for a lot of that stuff.
Well, you know, it's funny you say
So,
that because as Kathy just put true mentor there, I have a little bit of a story of something that happened this
yes, please
week.
share. Please share.
And Nitu, I've been talking to Nitu about this last night. So,
Oh, what did she say?
um, so much good. Yes.
Oh, good.
So
I'm glad you can laugh at my expense. I was
honestly,
very nervous when I had to teach him.
that's great though. It's an amazing story. So this week in the Grotz newsletter, um, my studio is featured on it and all these different things, some great stuff. So I was speaking with David, and I noticed that there was one of the lines in the newsletter this week says that Martin was mentored by Chris Robinson.
Yeah.
Now, and now I was taught by him,
Yeah.
but both Chris and I understand the value of mentorship. So we both reached out to him and say like, can you please change that?
Yes.
And it wasn't that it's like I'm shaking my fist at Gratz for saying that incorrectly. I think it comes back to the fact that we both understand the value of mentoring and can differentiate the difference between teaching somebody and mentoring somebody.
Absolutely. It doesn't count if you've only taken one lesson from the person.
It doesn't count if you take 18 months of lessons from the person.
That's okay. That too. That too. That too. Yes. Yes.
Right? Because
Yeah.
I spent a year
Yeah.
and a half with Chris learning
Yeah.
these modules and stuff at Lily's studio, but I didn't have a key to his studio. He didn't pull me aside and say, teach this person for me.
Hmm.
He poured into you. Like mentoring is when you pour into somebody.
Yeah. Yes.
You duplicate yourself in the person. That is
Oh, that's
totally
such an
different.
interesting way of saying. That's a really interesting and thoughtful way of saying that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
totally different thing. And I think that there's an intentionality to mentoring that wasn't there. So I was very careful to say like, can you please change that? Because I didn't want to make it look like I'm name dropping.
Yes.
You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? And
And
Chris has a great program and he does
yes.
great work. And if mentoring is handing keys, giving you opportunity to teach and really duplicating yourself in you, that's different than me signing up for a million sessions with him and that never happening.
I don't think you have to per se get the key to the studio, but I think if you just, you commit to a teacher, you commit to their learning style, so you find a teacher that resonates with you. So once
Mm,
I moved, so after I, so, this, but I think, well, first of all, I think that was the responsible thing that you did. I think that was the right thing to do. So
yes.
I
Yeah.
applaud you for doing that. And,
Mm,
but I think so when I moved to New York, I was looking to study with a teacher and then people were like, go study with Kathy. And I was like, okay. It took me probably, I think 6 months to get on her schedule actually. But
yes.
you find a teacher whose style resonates with you. And
Resonates with you.
there's
Yes.
so many gifted teachers out there, but
Yes.
what I loved Kathy's style. Mostly because
Mm,
she beat me up and I like getting beat up.
right.
So that's like
Yeah.
the first prerequisite. I have to get beat up,
Right.
But beyond that, it was just I found her teaching style. I fell in love with it, and then all I knew was like I wanted to keep training with her.
Mm,
And I think that dedication that every week you go to the studio, and I would go there and I would watch her teach. And she's
yes.
talked about this in her workshops. Like I would stay there, I would take I think it was I want to say Wednesdays. Wednesdays I would take the train in from New York and I would stay there from like my lesson was at like 8 a.m. or
Hmm.
8:45 and I would stay there till about 3, the whole day.
Yes.
Then I would come back and then I would teach in the city. But
Yeah.
those moments were like gold to me
Right.
because, you really learn so much just from watching because she gives me exercises that I need. But when I watch her teach, my other colleagues, they're different exercises because we have different bodies.
Yes, exactly. Well, and I think that what you touched on there is what is like a marriage. There's a
Yeah,
reciprocating relationship.
absolutely. Yeah.
I'm reaching out to learn from them, but they're also
Yes.
reaching back out to me because they realize that I'm hungry for more, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you have to be committed too. And I think that's part
mhm,
of like, showing the mentor that you are committed to being there and to learning their work, you know.
yes.
But
Yeah.
that's really interesting that you say it's like they're trying to duplicate. That's so interesting because it's so fun. I think I was teaching something one time and someone's like, "Oh, you sound just like Kathy." I was like, "Oh my God, I didn't mean to." But it just comes out naturally.
Yeah, yeah, and that's fine. I mean, it's one thing to do that naturally. It's another thing to actually have not even have your own personality, just trying to duplicate,
Oh
imitate the
yeah.
person, right? Like you're not just imitating them. That's from the inside out, and totally fine in my books.
100%, absolutely. I mean, I think so you take, what you learned from your mentors and you kind of internalize it in your own body.
Yes.
And then the way you interpret how you learn and how you express it, your understanding to it to your students is you. And
Right.
sometimes she comes out.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Well, I see that with the way I teach too. Like, like
Yes.
like he has a cadence. Like the way that Chris teaches, it's just like lift your legs up. All right,
Yeah.
good. Circle. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yes,
there's a
yes, yes, yes,
right. Like there's
yes,
a cadence to
totally.
it that is different than someone who has like a dance background and lift the legs
Yeah.
up and turn and two and three and four and like I don't have that dancey
Oh, me either.
cadence.
I'm not a dancer. I think
Yeah.
someone said like grand rondejant. I was like, huh? What's that?
Yeah. Yes.
They're like
Right.
releve. I'm like, I don't know.
Right. Yeah, so it's different, but I love that mentoring piece. I do think about that a lot because we're trying to get this work out there in a passionate way, in an authentic
Yeah.
way, and it's one thing to just teach classes, another thing to really, like we say, like mentor and duplicate ourselves to other and let them see the power of what this work can do in a way that they want to share it with other people.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so what was your experience like when you went through your program?
I enjoyed it, and I think that, even before I get to that, like you said about the contemporary, I had a friend who learned through Stott, and she did a Pilates for athletes class,
Oh, interesting.
right? So I went to that class, and it absolutely kicked my butt. Like I couldn't do some of the exercises on one side of my body,
Yeah.
expose every muscle imbalance, and that is what really started my Pilates journey in terms
And
of
that's
saying,
the challenge, right?
that's
So
the
then that's
challenge.
the challenge that you
It
like.
Yeah, it kicked my butt and I'm coming after it. Like
Exactly. Like I want to own it. What?
I want to
Like
own it.
exactly. And the
Yeah,
funny thing is like conceptually you understand. Oh yeah, touch my toes, but like how come I can't do it?
right.
It's that disconnect between, your mind and your body. Like we talked
Yes.
about the body and the mind. The body houses the mind and
Yes. Yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
so
so
sorry, I didn't mean to
no,
interrupt
no,
you.
no.
Sorry.
That's exactly it. But I mean, but it is that journey, right? So you have that one moment and then you chase after more of it and more of it and more of it. I did my Peak Pilates certification, like a full comprehensive, and Pamela Garcia is was my instructor for that, and she's brilliant, and I loved her, for lack of a better word, militant style because
Oh,
I'd heard so much of
absolutely.
it being so dancey before, right? And I'm not
Yeah.
knocking dancers, but when I first started taking classes, it had such a rhythmic, dancey flow to it that I was like, okay, I love this for my body. My body's loving it, but I can't teach like that.
Yeah,
Right. So I started to
absolutely.
find people that taught in a way that are like, oh, I could teach like that. I'm a personal trainer. Like, I'm not singing while I'm teaching people on the PT floor. So I
Why
need
not?
to,
What's wrong with you? Why aren't you singing, Martin?
I like renewals. I like when people
Well,
come back. Yeah. Yeah. I like a continual business flow, not just a wait.
yeah.
So anyway, so yeah, so then that's how that came to be. So eventually, Lily, I took a class with Lily, and it was really challenging in that introduction.
No?
Yep,
Like,
frozen there.
okay, okay, good.
Yeah,
All
there.
right.
Yeah, yeah. So I took a class at Lily's studio, and that was a real introduction to like classical Pilates,
Yes.
which was like the next piece in the puzzle. It was
Yep.
deeper, it was more intentional, and all these different things. Took a couple classes and really enjoyed that in her men's classes. And then she said, Chris Robinson is going to be instructing my apprenticeship program.
Yeah.
So uh, he's a guy, he's a martial arts guy. He's not like, played different sports, ran track. He's black. He's a black male
Yeah.
in the Pilates space.
Someone you can identify with, right?
Someone who's
And
getting down
you
with
you can see yourself.
on so many levels.
Yeah.
On so many levels.
Yeah.
So that was it. So from there, I took that class, and it was hard. I'm not gonna lie. And coming from having years of fitness experience, it was a real challenge for me. And I think it was
Yeah.
the intermediate thing. I didn't even pass the first time through on one of the intermediate test outs, right?
Yeah.
And those are moments that humble you and challenge you to do better, right? Okay, I have to dive deep in
Absolutely.
this. I can't just lean on what I know about movement. I have
Yes.
to just clear everything, create space, and dive into this. So I think failing that one test is what gave me that tenacity to just chase after this, to just be like, I want to be an authority in this Pilates space as a
Yes.
male, as a
Yeah,
mover,
absolutely.
you know what I mean? Like, so that's my own personal thing because of
Yeah.
those moments that I wasn't successful in
Yes.
this journey to this
Yes.
point.
I love that. And the way that, because you can so clearly define that, I think you're going to get there because you know exactly where it is that you need to work on and you know exactly how you're going to
Yes.
get there. All it's going to do is just going to take time and dedication. And I think,
Yes.
one of the best indications of success is how you handle failure, right?
Yes.
We're all going to
Absolutely.
fail. It's going to happen, but if like you said, you pick yourself up and you're like, I want to own this. This is going to
Mhm.
be mine, right? I'm going to do that roll up. It's
Right.
just like, and the fact that you can, be so humble and say, you know, I failed at this, but that's what's going to propel me forward, I think says a lot about your character and how far you're going to be able to go in this industry. So,
Thank
because
you.
it's hard. No, absolutely. It's
Yeah.
hard. I think, and that's the toughest part. It's like, I was talking to Michael Brown actually, and
Yes.
he was talking about Pilates, and I was like, this work, it really makes you look at yourself honestly, like
Hmm.
where your strengths are, where your weaknesses is, and then it tells you a lot about how you handle adversity. And it's interesting because we spend so much of our time watching people. Like when I'm with my clients, I don't really talk that much, unless the ones that like to talk, but I don't really talk that much. And
Yes.
you watch them and you watch how they move. And so
Hmm.
you're doing rolling like a ball. You're like, grab your ankles and you're just going to roll back. Some people go right back, you know
Yes.
some
Yes.
people, they turn around, then they roll back. And some people
Yes.
go back slowly and then
Hmm.
come up. It's really interesting, to see like how like they handle handle themselves through this
Yes.
work. And
Absolutely.
so
You
it's
can
very
dive deep on that, right? Like there's some people just go with a reckless abandon, right? Like, okay, like,
exactly. You're like, oh
yeah,
my God, I got to hold your legs before you go flying
right,
away,
right, yeah,
but it tells you a lot about yourself and I guess your habits and your tendencies. And I think the more awareness you can bring, and that self-awareness is what's going to help you grow. Because if you're
yes,
kind of ignorant and naive to, you don't, ignorant, naive to the, how people like, how you like carry yourself, you're not going to go very far.
right.
Does
And
that
look
make
at yeah, yeah, absolutely, it makes perfect sense, and that's what,
Absolutely, the way you
but
do Pilates is the way you do life.
yes,
Absolutely, 100%. Like, and that's my thing. We talked about doing it with integrity and doing it honestly. You're just cheating yourself, you know,
right,
if you're not doing it right, and you're not gonna, to me that's meaningless. Like, I would rather
yes,
see a very square box doing single leg circles than to see a hip hike and do the circle with like a crazy leg. That doesn't mean anything to me personally.
yes, not impressed.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, so true. Handling resistance. Oh, trust. I want to talk about trust. We got like 9 minutes left,
Oh my
and
God, time flies.
I know, right? And all that we were saying, we hit on that word a few times, but now you have a business partner. John was amazing last week, by the
Yes,
way.
yes.
Like, I just loved talking with him. Like,
He's wonderful.
absolutely wonderful. And I'm assuming Trisha is exactly the same.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just, there is no way that I could have kept my studio afloat without the two of them. With
Yes.
COVID happening, there's no way I could afford my rent in New York City on top of my rent, like in a commercial real estate space. Like, it's crazy.
Right.
So when the pandemic hit, it's like, thank God we were able to split all these expenses. And so
Hmm.
the way it works is we all run our businesses separately. It's just we come together,
Yes.
and we share our equipment. So I have a reformer and I have a Wonder chair. I have a baby chair. Trisha has a Cadillac. John has a pedipole and a ladder
Hmm.
barrel. And we kind of just, share the space together. And it's a
Yes.
really good community. It's so funny. We have like, I think he told you about the after hours Pilates, right?
Yes.
It's like after 6 p.m., things get crazy in the studio.
Yes. Yeah.
But like our clients know one another and they feel comfortable. It's like when I'm out of town, someone will go train with Trisha. When
Yes.
someone's out of town, I'll go, they'll train with me. And
Hmm.
it's just really, truly wonderful because not only do I get to be inspired and see what other people are teaching besides what I've learned myself, but the
Yes.
energy is good. You have like 6 people in there, pre-COVID, of course,
Right.
you know, 6 people in there working out, doing their different individual things. I'll have like, like an athlete that I'm training, and then one of John's clients will see him doing teaser on the reform, and they're like, I want to do that. I want to look like him. So they'll just be
Yes.
inspired by each other,
They're
not even
inspired.
by, yeah, not even by me
Yeah.
doing it, but like by another client doing it. So
Right.
it's good energy, and
Hmm.
I mean, and we all balance each other out. Like I'm the math person, so I do the accounting, and like we got to pay
Yes.
our rent. August 31st, we got to pay our rent. We got to pay Con Ed. That's me because that's my background. And
Yes. Yeah.
Trisha is in charge of kind of like studio maintenance, so she'll have the paper towels, the water bottles filled, the cleaner. Hi, Amy. Hi, everybody. Hi, Laura. They're just
Blossom
jumping
just
in
came on
last minute.
too.
Hi,
Yeah.
Blossom. And then John is so good with our landlord, so he handles a lot of the negotiations. Um,
Yes.
so it's just a good team, and I'm just incredibly lucky, and I feel like this is kind of the future of the way Pilates should be run, because I
Yes.
mean, like, you can't survive making $30 an hour, you know,
Right.
like you need to be like, it's impossible. So I think the
Hmm.
best way to make a living doing this work is by having your own business and renting space, or having like a shared space. So,
Yes.
I mean, because you kind of have the same thing going on, right? Like you're in like so you get the
Yeah.
benefit of being in like a fully like stocked gym and like
Right.
clinic, right? And that's
Yes,
got to be
exactly.
good for like clients coming in and out,
Oh,
and you
for
can,
sure. We share clients. I have a conversation with the chiro about someone that he's gonna send over to me for prehab or rehab, and
exactly.
or my clients who are, super strong who want to go out on the gym floor. We can have a day just doing our weights and another day doing all Pilates work. And yeah, it's
That's perfect. That's
Mi
perfect.
Misty talked about that, the micro business.
Yes, yes, yes.
Right. And that's when she said that months ago, I was like, that's exactly it. That's what we're doing here. And we converted this lunchroom into a 200 square foot Pilates studio in a 10,000 square foot gym, 15,000,
Exactly.
So yeah, that's exactly it. It's a shared space that, and trust though, like
What
you try,
I
like,
mean, you have to trust them 100%. I mean, because all our names are on the lease,
yes.
like someone can't default on a payment.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I've been working with them at Pilates Challenge for about 5 years. So we all knew each other pretty well.
Good. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when it was time for us to pick up and move, we're like, let's do this. And, I felt comfortable doing it because we have a history, and I've
Yes.
seen them day to day. And I'm like, okay, they're reliable, they're trustworthy.
They're people of
And
integrity
exactly, absolutely. You carry that with you wherever you go.
wherever you
The
go.
theme of integrity, finding it in
Yes.
Pilates and finding it in life too.
Yep. So true.
Yeah.
Any final kind of closing thoughts here, Katie, in our 4 minutes left?
Oh man, I mean, like, you asked me what my message was to
Hmm.
everybody, and I guess for me, it's kind of just my personal mantra that I kind of live with every day. It's like, just do the work, you know,
Yes.
just do it honestly, do it cleanly, do it with purpose, and I think things will kind of just fall in line. I don't know.
Yes.
It's really nothing fancy. It's not. There's no magic trick. No diet pill, but just do it.
Just do it.
Have a
Yeah.
disciplined practice, and for me, like, I follow this one Marine. Actually, his name is Jocko Willink, and to
Yes.
me, he talks about how discipline equals freedom. You
Hmm.
know, so if you have this disciplined life in almost every aspect, I think that'll kind of follow through.
Yes. Yeah,
So
this is like as Joel said, like how we do plies is how we do life.
that's right.
Yes. The
Oh, this
way we do
conversation
plies
was,
is yeah, the way you do
yeah.
plies is the way you do life. Yeah. Yes. Thank you so much. I
Oh,
really
happy
enjoyed,
Friday. Happy
yeah,
Friday.
honestly. So it's been a good week.
I've got, and congratulations on your podcast. That's really exciting. That's got
Thank
to be
you.
that's got to be huge.
Oh man, I'm just
Wow.
I have so many amazing people like yourself that that message gets out there, and people are just, I mean, I see why everyone loves you, Katie, straight
Oh,
up.
you're so nice.
Yeah, yeah. It's
It's
so
it's
amazing.
just me. Nothing. No. Nothing fancy.
I think that,
I just like to work out. That's really it. That's all you need
yeah.
to know. So,
Beautiful. All right, I'm gonna sign you off. We got a minute and 49 seconds left, so That'll be it. Thank you so much for joining me today, Katie. Really,
Thank you
really
for
appreciate it.
having me on. I appreciate it. It was so good to finally meet you
Yeah,
online.